My name's John Marston. You wanted to speak to me.
And so it was all the way back in 2010 that one of the greatest video game characters and brand new IPs was introduced to the world. Fresh off the heels of what I would call a Grand Theft Auto game that still doesn't get the credit it properly deserves, from the physics to its gritty and frankly I'd say amazing storytelling. These two games were Rockstar Games' first major jump to the next generation of hardware, that at the time being the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Two games that were fundamental in creating one of the greatest selling video games of all time, and arguably one of the most lived in, objectively, realistically accurate Wild West adventures ever created. And honestly, it's probably my favorite game of all time. That's saying a lot. And the reason why I'm talking about these two games here today is because it saddens me that we'll probably never get to re-experience these classics without a PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 handy. And the reason for that is the original Red Dead Redemption never had a PC port, and well, actually come to think of it, if you're an Xbox Series X or S owner, you can actually enjoy these games no problem. Forget what I said, and I would suggest taking advantage and replaying both of them, as they're both phenomenal games. PlayStation owners were fucked because PlayStation now is trash. Fortunately on PC they do have a Grand Theft Auto 4 port, but that shit's poorly optimized. Have fun modding the hell out of that game's settings. It's gonna take you a minute to even get a steady frame rate. But the reason why I'm bringing up these two games that are well over a decade old is because yesterday it was reported across multiple outlets that Rockstar's decided to shelve plans for remastering both of these games. There's no concrete reason as to why, but the general consensus is instead of having Rockstar divide their development team across 3 different projects, they're instead going all hands on deck for the full development of Grand Theft Auto 6, which is not new. Rockstar has confirmed at the beginning of this year that Grand Theft Auto 6 is in fact in development. That is confirmed. As to how far in development, who knows? I mean, it's going to be at least another year or two before we see anything, let alone a trailer or probably even concept art. Now on the surface that sounds good and all. You know, obviously you want everyone committed to your next big project, especially as something as ambitious and as grand as what Grand Theft Auto 6 could potentially be. But apparently the development of the next big game wasn't the only factor in Rockstar deciding to shelve these two projects. You see, all the way back when the Grand Theft Auto trilogy was released, in the PC version, there's actually a file that people refer to as the Golden File. Inside that file, there was conference calls between developers and the publishers, and that's where the initial plan and idea and rumors of a potential Red Dead Redemption or a Grand Theft Auto 4 remaster. Now in that file, it seemed like based off of how well the GTA trilogy performed would be a major deciding factor in whether they would progress with both of these remasters, one of them or none of them. And as we all know now, the GTA trilogy wasn't exactly received well due to all the corners that Rockstar cut. I mean, there's a laundry list of all kinds of shit that was wrong with the game, from a bunch of bugs to how horrible the rain was to a bunch of pop-ins to the game crashing non-stop. I mean, it took them almost 2 months to even make these games playable in some cases. Now, even though the trilogy wasn't received well and there was quite a bit of backlash, financially it was still incredibly successful. They sold well over 10 million copies. So from a money standpoint, it did very well. Did it exceed expectations? I can't honestly speak for that, but it was a major stain on Rockstar's otherwise perfect reputation. They had to issue a public apology. They had to dedicate all these extra resources to making sure these games were even in a playable state months after launch. So while financially it did well, the reputation took quite a hit, and it seems like Rockstar's not really willing to take that risk again. Which honestly, just speaking openly, I think if they would have just gave proper care and attention to these games initially, then there wouldn't have been any backlash. There wouldn't be any need for any type of refunds like they had to issue. There wouldn't be any problems. I mean, these are all games that people grew up with. I mean, nostalgia is a hell of a driving factor. All you need to do is really upgrade the visuals, modernize the mechanics a little bit, give it a little bit of marketing, and that's it. I mean, I'm sure I'm oversimplifying something that can be incredibly complicated at times, but as far as the reception of the GTA trilogy goes, I think that's a mess that Rockstar created for themselves. And then there's also the flip side of, financially speaking, Rockstar really doesn't have to put out any remasters. I mean, who knows how well GTA Online is really doing with the shark cards across all platforms. They made Grand Theft Auto 5 for the newer generation of consoles, and along with that, they launched their own subscription service. I don't know why anybody would pay for it, but I bet money people were actually subscribed to that shit. Either way, no matter how you slice it, Rockstar is in a very privileged position. They got a say in every case. To be completely honest, I'd be more than happy to pay for a Grand Theft Auto 4 or a Red Dead remake. What about you guys? Or did the trilogy completely squander all your good graces with Rockstar? You're gonna have to wait for any type of remasters or remakes and see what reviewers say before you pull the trigger trigger. I mean, I don't think anyone's held at fault for anything like that. I mean, they did it once. Who's to say they won't do it again? What kind of bugs me though is like 80% of the map from the original Red Dead is already in Red Dead 2. So it's easy for the fanboy in me to just go, you guys can fucking do it in a night. Stop being lazy. Just port the damn game. But let me know what you guys think. Would you guys pay for either of these remasters, or would you wait? Would you prefer we get Grand Theft Auto 6 sooner? What do you think that'll even entail? And how soon we'll even see it? I mean, anything relating to Rockstar these days is always interesting because they're such a damn powerhouse. Now they basically shit on us. And here we are waiting for the next big project. The modern gaming industry.